So coming to the next topic is on canny edge detection and parametric edge models. So first we will speak about canny edge detection. So this is one of the edge detection method. So here it's mainly this canny edge detection is for those images that are corrupted by white noise and they have step edges. I told you there are different types of edges. So it is mainly optimum for the images which is corrupted by white noise and they have step edges. So the how this canny edge detector works. So the how to make the canny edge detection optimum, it is based on three criteria. The one is depending on detection, one is depending on localization, and one more is based on one response criteria. Coming to the first one. The first one is the detection criteria. It expresses the fact that important edges should not be missed and that there should be no spurious responses. So whatever be the kind of white noise the image is affected with, the important edges should not be missed out when performing the canny edge detection. This is the first criteria. The second criteria is about localization. So the localization criteria, what does it say? It says that the distance between the actual and the located position of the edge should be minimal. So there should not be much displacement or the position shift from the actual and the located position, that is before processing what was the location and after processing what is the location, there should not be much difference. So the localization criteria says that the distance between the actual and the located position of the edge should be minimal. The third criterion speaks about one response criterion. So the one response criterion, it minimizes the multiple responses to a single edge. So whatever, if there is one edge, the output response also should be one and there should not be multiple responses to a single edge. So of course, this is kind of the similar to the first criterion. Since there are two responses to a single edge, one of them should be considered as false. Okay, so we should not, of course, miss on any of the important edges. So before coming to Canny's derivation, so several ideas were proposed and imposed to come up with the Canny's derivation. The thing is that the edge detector was actually expressed for a 1D signal, and the first two optimally criteria, that is the first one and two, we saw two optimal criteria, right? The first two optimal criteria. Okay, so the edge detector was expressed for a 1D signal and the first two optimally criteria. So we saw the first two optimal criteria. What is that? One is the detection criteria and one more is the localization criteria. So a closed form solution was found using the calculus of variations. So the third criterion, where mainly it is depending on one response, that is, there should not be multiple responses. Okay, so if the third criterion, that is added, the best solution can be found by optimization. So what we have to do is, if there are many responses, we have to go with the optimal response. Correct. So the resulting filter can be approximated effectively with error less than 20%. So how this can be done? So you remember we can apply the Gaussian smoothing filter. So by the first derivative, if you take the first do the Gaussian smoothing and then do the first derivative of the Gaussian smoothing filter with the standard deviation sigma. I hope you are similar to what you do in the log operation. So the reason for doing this is the existence of an effective implementation. So as I told you, this is similar to the log based edge detector which was given by Mar Hildreth. Okay, so this is the second idea. So Canis derivation is based on several ideas. We'll go through each one of them, and so you should remember some of these ideas. That is, initially it was expressed for 1D and for the first two criteria, and then for the third criteria we should understand that we mean by going for optimization which has less than 20% error, and we go to a process similar to the log based edge detection process. Then after it's done for 1D, it is then generalized to 2 dimension because we are applying this for a image which has two spatial coordinates, or it has two directions. Okay, so a step edge is given by, so if you're going off a step edge, it has a few things to be considered. One is the position, orientation, and the strength, or we call it as the magnitude. Okay, so where it is located, position, the orientation or the angle, and then we have to see the magnitude or its value or the strength. this it can be shown that convolving an image, okay, with you remember we in log operation we did the convolving an image with the Gaussian. So same thing here, it can be shown that convolving an image with a symmetric 2D Gaussian and then differentiating in the direction of the gradient, that will help to form a simple and effective directional operation. Okay, so suppose we think that G is a 2D Gaussian and we want to convolve this with the image with an operator Gn, which is a first directive in some direction n, then we can say Gn is equal to dou G by dou n, or it's nothing but n into delta of G. So we have imposed the criterion of an direction here. The direction is n, so n into delta G. So we have imposed the value or the meaning of, or we have imposed the direction component into the Gaussian. So this are also some of the ideas before we go into the derivation of Canis derivation. So to continue with the third idea, we would like n to be perpendicular to the edge. So in Canis detection, we want this direction n to be perpendicular to the edge. So we should understand this direction is not known in advance, but we have to go for a robust estimation of it based on the smooth gradient direction, which is available. So considering that f is the image, okay, if you have f, of course always we define image as f of x comma y, okay, so f of x comma y is the image we usually speak of. So considering if f is the image, the normal to the edge n, okay, so we want the direction to be normal to the edge, so that is given by n is equal to delta of G convolution edge f by, of course, the norm of that, okay, or the magnitude of the Laplacian, that's a Laplacian operation of G convolution. That's a delta operation. Laplacian means we go for the second time to a double derivative, so we can get for the delta of G convolution f. So I'll repeat. So n, we wanted the edge to be perpendicular. Okay, the direction component to be perpendicular to the edge. Okay. So what we do is, how we go about it is, since we want it to be perpendicular to the edge, so n is equal to this convolution, G convolution. What is G? G is nothing but the Gaussian of the image. So how do you remember? You remember the Gaussian filter. So apply the Gaussian, convolve with the original image, and then take the delta divided by the norm of that value or the magnitude of the value. Now the edge location is then at the, we should understand that since it is perpendicular, it will be at the local maxima of the image f. Okay, so the edge location is then at the local maxima of the image f, convolved with the operation Gn in the direction of n. Okay, so since it is that, we should understand that the partial differentiation of Gn convolution f with respect to n is equal to 0. So if I substitute this 5.56, this is a property. If I substitute here, then we get our delta, or the del square of by del n square of G convolution f is equal to 0. So what does this equation 5.57 illustrates? This equation illustrates how to find the local maxima in the direction perpendicular to the edge. So see, when I say this function is equal to 0, that means either it should be a maxima or a minima. So by doing this, actually we are finding the local minima in the direction perpendicular to the edge. This operation we also usually call it as a non-maximal suppression. Okay, so this we can, if you can see, you can see it in the algorithm in the future chapter, that is 6.4. As a convolution and derivative, usually we can go for associative property or associative operations. Okay, so in this equation 5.57, we can first convolve and then go for the applying the G operation. Okay, so we can first convolve an image f with the symmetric Gaussian G and then compute the second derivative, or we can do the vice versa of the direction n computed according to equation 5.5. Okay, we can apply the commutative associative property. So how to measure the strength? I told you direction is there. So we also have position, direction, position, orientation, and the strength. So we need to consider the strength of the edge, okay, or the magnitude of the gradient. So this is measured as the norm of Gn convolution f as the norm of gradient, the delta of G convolution with G star f, or G convolution with f. So sometimes when we go for this edge detection, there is a chance of having spurious responses. So the spurious responses, this usually caused when we go for the single edge, this is caused by something known as streaking. So sometimes the output of an edge detector has to be usually thresholded. You know what is thresholding, right? We have some thresholding value. So if the value of the image or whatever be above the threshold, we say something should be done or it should be rounded up to some value, and otherwise something else. So because of the spurious effect caused due to streaking, okay, so streaking, so this can be eliminated by the process known as thresholding with hysteresis. So we can employ a hard threshold. Okay, so that can be done by employing a hard threshold, and for upper part, the higher threshold can be hard and the lower threshold can be soft, which we can also, if you want, you can see future in algorithm 6.5. So based on this, the low and the high thresholds can be set according to the signal to noise ratio. So this is the fourth idea. Coming to the next one. The correct scale for the operator depends on the objects contained in the image. As I told you, some images can have many edges and some images can have less edges. And you should, I think I've given a small assignment related to scales in image processing or local preprocessing. So the correct scale for the operator depends on the objects gained in the image. To have an idea, scale that is, when we do some operation on an image, the size of the local neighborhood selected is very important. So the correct scale for the operator depends on the objects contained in the image. Correct. So the solution to this is unknown, is to this unknown, that is the scale, okay, is to use multiple scales. This is also a part of the previous topic which I have given you as a small homework. So to use multiple scales and aggregate information from them. Okay, so usually different scales for the Canny detector are represented in usually by taking different deviations of the Gaussian. That what is deviation? We speak about the standard deviation. So what we do is we take the different standard deviations corresponding to the image, and there may be several scales of operations that give significance response to the edges. So this person called Canny, so that is why the name Canny detector, he proposed a feature synthesis approach. So what is this feature synthesis approach? Okay, so what you see here, okay. So feature synthesis approach, so all the significant edges from the operator, the smallest scale are marked first, remember. So whatever is the feature, so different objects will have different scales. So all the significant edges, the smallest scales are marked first, and the edges of a hypothetical operator with large deviation are synthesized from that. So this is the operation of a feature synthesis approach. So once this is done, the synthesized edge response is compared with the actual edge response for a larger sigma. So then additional edges are marked only if they have a significantly stronger response than the one predicted from the synthetic output. Okay, so this is one of the ideas. So wherein we go for feature synthesis to determine the scale, right? So different image. So depending on the type of the image, the number of large variations or lesser variations, or how too many edges or less number of edges, all to see this. So when we apply some operation, choosing the correct scale is important. So here the of course we need to find the different scales. So there are different varieties of scales that can be thought of. So can you propose a feature synthesis approach wherein we go for the edge which has the smallest scale and the edge of a edge with the largest sigma, and then what we did, the synthesized edge response is compared with the actual edge response for the larger sigma. Okay, so then the additional edges are marked only if they have a significantly stronger response than the predicted from the synthetic output. That means only if, so if the value of the additional edges, if they are not significant, we ignore those edges. So this procedure is repeated for a sequence of scales. A cumulative edge map being built by adding these edges that were not identified at smaller scales. So for different scales, this process has been carried out. So what is the algorithm used for canny edge detector? So let's go to the direct process. So the first thing is number one, take an image F, convolve an image with a Gaussian of scale sigma. So choose choose the scale sigma, convolve the image F with the Gaussian of scale sigma. Then estimate the local edge normal direction n. So you remember you have to find the direction n. So estimate the local edge normal direction n using the previous equation. We saw, remember, n is equal to that the del of that g that convolution divided by the magnitude. So use that for each pixel in the image. So apply or find n for each pixel. Then find the location of the edge using the next equation, that is, you remember, the non-maximal suppression equation. Compute the magnitude of the edge. This also we have seen the equation. So first convolve, then find n, find the location of the edge using the non-maximal suppression. Compute the magnitude of the edge using the next equation. Threshold edge, I told you we usually go for two types of thresholding, hard and soft threshold. So threshold the edges in the image with hysteresis. Then again repeat step 1 through 5 for different values of the standard deviation sigma. Then aggregate the final information about the edges at multiple scale using the feature synthesis approach. So this is the algorithm for canny edge detector. So this is one of the figures. So can is the same. You remember the our Castle image. So you remember that original image, right? So consider this, that the canny edge detection at different scales. So this is at one of the scales and different. So what do you observe here after listening to all this theory? So depending on different, so you can see here this image shows all the edges possible. Okay, so that depends on so here the scale taken is different and here the scale taken is different. So some of the edges have been neglected here in this, but most of the edges are present in this. Okay, so this is how it by taking different scales the output varies. So depending on what is our priority, so what information we are looking at, we have to choose the scale. And we can, of course, usually when you're going for MATLAB operation or when you do actually, so what we do is we go for trial and error method, apply different edges and see which suits the best, and also different sigma. So all this comes with the trial and error. Okay, so but sometimes based on some of the already done research by so many people, so some of the things we can get through literature survey. So Canny's detector, it represents a complicated, but it's a very major contribution to the edge detection. So if its full implementation is usually unusual, but it's highly implemented. So Canny's edge detection is one of the good edge detection. Of course, I've given you some some of the edge detection operations as homework, which is also equally important. That is the Roberts operator, Laplace operator, Prevet operator, Sobel operator, etc. So please go through that. So coming to the next topic of parametric edge models. So initially when I started with the first module, I spoke about continuous image functions. And then from the process of sampling and quantizing, we arrived at the discrete image function. So the parametric models are based on the fact that the discrete image intensity function, we usually spoke about brightness function or the intensity function of an image. So the discrete image intensity function, you usually get it from the sampled by the sampled version of the continuous ones. Okay, so the parametric models, they're based on the fact that the discrete image intensity function, they considered a sampled and a noisy approximation of underlying continuous or piecewise continuous image intensity function. This we know. We already know that the discrete image intensity function, they are the approximations of the continuous or the piecewise continuous image intensity function. So the parametric models, they're based on this idea. So the piecewise continuous function estimates. So how we got the noisy approximation, or from the piecewise function, if we have got, so the piecewise continuous function estimates, they are called the facets. Called facets, they are used to represent the each image pixel. Okay, so if you have a piecewise continuous image, from that whatever we got the discrete image intensity. So the piecewise continuous function estimates called the facets, they are used to represent each image pixel. So such an image represent is called as a facet model. So such a image representation is known as a facet model. Okay, facet model. So the simplest one is the flat facet model. So what is that? So that uses the piecewise constants, and each pixel neighborhood is represented by a flat function of the constant intensity. I told you there is step function, flat function, exponential function, etc. So here we are considering the flat function of a constant intensity. So that is known as the flat facet model. So I told you whatever the piecewise continuous function, we call it as facet model. So one of them, the simplest one, is known as a flat facet model. Okay. So once the facet, so there are many other like that. So depending on the intensity, of the image intensity, that is under consideration. So once the facet model parameters are available for each image pixel, I told you they are the approximations of each image pixel. Okay, the facet model are the approximations of each image pixel. So once the facet model parameters are available for each image pixel, the edges can be detected as the extrema. What is extrema? Either the maxima or the minima. So the edges can be detected as extrema of the first directional derivative. Okay, take the first directional derivative and it's the extrema, and all zero crossings of the second directional derivative. This also I spoke in the previous class about finding the zero cross detection. Okay, zero crossings. So second derivative, it is easier to be found using the zero crossings, correct? So first second order derivative, rather than taking first and going to the second order derivative, find the zero crossings. So that itself is a second order derivative, which we already spoke in the previous class. So if you found that, so the once you find the facet model, so how to detect the edges? Simple. So go for the first directional detective or the second directional detective of the local continuous facet models functions. So an example for that is a bicubic facet model. So this is how a bicubic facet model looks. Okay, so this is an equation. So cubic, so you have the highest power to be 3. Okay, so edge detectors based on such parametric models, they are more precise than the convolution based edge detection. So that's we should remember, they are more precise. So this edge detection is more precise compared to your convolution based edge detectors, and they have a potential for subpixel edge localization, but the main problem is they require high computational requirement. So usually finding the facet and finding the edge is not computationally that efficient, because it requires high computational requirements are there. So this is about the parametric edge detection, wherein we go for facet models and then we go for first directional or second directional derivation. So this is about canny edge detection and the parametric edge models. So this almost completes the, when we go for processing or pre-processing in image, we do in two dimension. One is the spatial dimension or the spatial filtering. Okay, so what we did till now is spatial filtering, where we did in spatial domain itself. That is, we didn't go to the wavelet domain, or we didn't go to the frequency domain. Spatial is nothing but as good as telling time domain and frequency domain, right? So spatial domain is the original domain of the image. So we are done almost with the spatial domain. So the next local pre-processing only, but we are going to do it in the frequency domain. Okay, so this is about the first part of the local pre-processing actually. So thank you.